Was good, yeah. The Witch's Call is here, and it's time for us to talk about how to reach 40,000 points against the challenge mode dragon. So for that, we'll obviously just pop off the rankings, but we need to talk about the core rules of team building and what to look out for. Number one, if you have Dahlia, use Dahlia. She's broken here. This fight was basically made for her. The fight came out alongside her. It just makes sense. So that's rule number one, use Dahlia. Rule number two is use Greed. So Greed is pretty much a must use for you to get your score easier. And that is because he slows the enemies down. And if we take a look at the field right here, basically if in a perfect world you want to kill the enemies before they even leave this tile. So what Greed does is he slows them down right here. And then you're just going to try to basically kill the enemies right in this tile. Because there's, in every wave, there's a couple of scalemen, whatever. And these guys are kind of like a shaman type, and they do a crap ton of damage around the 1 minute mark. That's going to kill your units on the platforms if you don't kill them fast enough. So this whole scale can kill your units thing brings us to something very, very crucial that you'll see in the later part of the video. And that is, pick 1 or 2 defensive buffs. The reason why you're going to go for 1 or 2 defensive buffs is just for survivability's sake, that you're able to survive these Scalekin mages, because in most cases you're not going to be able to kill them before they come out unless you have like really good units. And then something like a 60% max HP barrier, or let's see, did someone else have it, or this tenacity increasing the hero's max HP by 30% is really quite crucial to you making it through the whole fight. So next off, you're going to need a fighter. That fighter is either going to be Ardea, Arrogance, or Volkera. If you only have Arrogance, it's going to be only Arrogance, but you can use Arrogance plus someone else, like Arrogance plus Volkera, Arrogance plus Ardea. But in general, you want at least minimum 1 fighter, and that fighter is going to be right here in this spot. And furthermore, Arrogance is also pretty darn good because he's really good at applying burns. Now, why would burns be all that important? Burns are basically your way to deal with these enemies if you do not have Dahlia. Because it's right here, Blighted Corporality increases HP, attack, defense and magic res. This effect will end after being inflicted with continuous damage, so poison, bleeds, burns. Because we don't have a poison applier, besides maybe a Sargak that can actually reach over there, it's either Arrogance or Dahlia that are kinda like your standard enablers. Obviously you're going to get more ways to apply them through the buffs, but you really, especially from the start, want to have a reliable source of either burns or poisons. That also kind of brings us to the buff choice already. You're going to either pick poisons or burns, or a combination of the two, but you're not going to go for bleeds. The bleed appliance chances, getting them there isn't worth it. You don't feel it, and it's just going to harm you. So you're going to go either burns or poisons, or I guess you could combine the two, but it's better to just banker down on one of them. Now, what the buffs also mostly have in common is that they boost magic damage because of Dahlia. So running someone like a Nyx isn't as effective, but especially if you have someone like a Iowa, it is still possible to run. But you also kind of then want to have a Pelagius too, because Pelagius again then does magic damage. So overall it's a lot of AoE, Greed, Dahlia, Fighter, and then you go at it. And that's pretty much all there is to it. And build wise it's going to be pretty simple. You're going to go with as many Soulbound Arcanas as you can physically find, and you want to go with more attack rather than crit damage, because there's no Dolores to influence anyone here. As soon as Magda releases, Magda might actually take the spot of Arrogance, but that really depends on how much damage she can actually deal here, and if you have a Dahlia. If you have a Dahlia, you can probably use Magda. If not, you might need Arrogance to enable you. Your best set should actually be on Greed, and build-wise, again, Greed is going to be full attack speed if you can manage it, then crit rate, and then lastly crit damage. Tear of Twilight, your strongest, you should also put onto your Greed, because Greed pretty much yeah, he just does his thing, right? Faction wise, Greed has two choices. Number one, you run him with Arrogance, so Arrogance becomes stronger, or you run him with a Cultist faction, so Greed becomes stronger. The Cultist faction I would only really recommend if you do have a Dahlia. So let's get into challenge mode, Thanatos. Right here, first off, we bring in Arrogance and we give him Invigoration set, and then we bring in Greed and also give an Invigoration set. And what you're going to notice is we don't. We don't have an Invigoration set on Venoma, which is something I just remembered. So right here we then build up our second lane, put out Warriors right there, and then the side you want to ult more is going to be the side where you put down your healer, and the side you want to ult less is the side where you put down Elowin, right? And formation wise, you do need a healer that reaches all the way over here, and that brings us again, I guess, to the healer point, and that is you're going to need two healers, one for the left side, one for the right side. You need one with a 3-tile range, so that's standard vortex range. If you do not own Elowin, you can always just substitute her with like a Nisande, a Leia, someone else that regenerates or gives any offensive benefit, but preferably you do want to go with double rage regen. Especially in the beginning, you can just go with auto ults and then click on your standard, click on your holo, right? Because early on, your heroes aren't going to get damaged enough for holo to always trigger on time. And also just placement wise, not everyone is going to trigger when they need to. So here we go, we have the chance to inflict burns to regenerate rage, or each stack of poison inflicted increases their magic damage taken by 40%, goes up to 80, so Dahlia can get up to 800% damage with Soul Blade 3. So right here we just go for an additional chance of burning to have a reliable source of burns when Arrogance isn't necessarily the one to apply it. And then it's pretty much you just mainly watching them do it. You could also trigger the ultimates manually by yourself, but it doesn't really make a difference until we hit that around 1 minute 30 second mark. So right here, because we have a chance to bleed and chance to poison, we'll actually just go with Tenacity, because Tenacity might actually allow our heroes to not get one shot by the Scalekin mages at the 1 minute mark, and that is like the only danger in this stage are these Scalekin mages that will deal around 34,000 damage when they actually come out. So yeah, from here on out, like I said, it's kind of the same thing. You just go in, you use your AoE units, you use your ultimates, you kill stuff. And then right here, inflicted with burning, they reduce magic vulnerability, which is obviously really good. Ignore the dodge stuff, and the protection, you can take the protection. Protection or tenacity might be the keys for you to actually survive the 1 minute mark, unless you have enough damage or time your Karmat well enough to just one-shot these Scalekin mages. So for example, you've seen them right there, they just came out and fired their shots at Karmat and Greed, and at the 1 minute mark those are deadly. Obviously, it's also fairly luck dependent. For example, right here we have Shielded, which doesn't help us anything, Tenacity and Protection. So yes, we are getting tanky, but we are also losing opportunities to potentially get even more damage. Like for example, do X amount of magic damage every time, reduce magic resistance, magic vulnerability, stuff like that. So it's really also to a certain extent RNG dependent, how far you can get and if you can or can't get to 40,000. So yeah, we already have 4 out of 8 cards, now 5. See, look at this. Inflicted with poison, we don't have any poisons. Hero's dodge rate also doesn't help us, so I guess we need to go with another tenacity. And that that kinda looks like we're most likely going to fail this run because we're getting way too defensive here. But who knows, that might actually be a good thing. It's not like there's just one way to solve it, but it's going to be a combination of survivability, proper timing, proper gear, proper heroes, and then also luck. a lot of luck with those. For example, right here, poison, poison, bleeds. What can we do? What can we do? The answer is not that much. So we'll just see how far we get and then go from there. We're already at 6 out of 8 buffs, so it's not really going to get any more rosy from here. So as you can see, because I mean, how many offensive buffs do we have? 2. Technically 1. Technically we have 1. And you really start to notice that in the frequency of the enemies taking time to die. But okay, time to turn life around. We have magic vulnerability or magic res reduction. We already own magic vulnerability, so we'll go with magic res reduction. But the good part is about this whole tanky stuff, as you can see, we are already on 34,000 at a minute left, and these Scale mages weren't anywhere close to actually being able to kill our units. So yeah, these guys are what then start to destroy your formation, and that's when it starts to get worrisome. Bleed, burn, poison. We go with the burn. So here we go in, we are already above the 40k, our score will just increase by a bit, probably like 40, 46, 47, maybe 48,000. But yeah, I guess what you also kind of can notice is survivability is quite crucial. So here we go, 48,000. It's not a bad score. I think it puts us somewhere in the top 100. I don't know. It's also not that important. The important part is we got it done. So let's just have a look. Let's see if we're somewhere in there. We would be somewhere here. But whatever. Alright, this has been it. See ya.